Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Mythic J, nerding it out hardcore. So I'm starting to work on my next version of the tier list, um, and I took basically the top 11 players in Champions Arena, the most competitive mode. So Queen, D Gorger, Lorak, Bew Bew, T Train, APC, BR, Ginny, Papa, Leonard, Kim Taeyeon, and Chi Chi. So basically, I removed all of the winners who haven't won recently, and then I took the most frequent winners. So that's 11 teams. So each hero will count 11 out of 11 times in the percentage used. And so to make it even better, in case you're getting turned on, this will really knock your socks off. I included the Infinity Soul Seal cost here as well, which was prepared by Ark, who's actually a great content creator. And so basically, the entire game has kind of devolved into, how many Infinity Soul Seals, how many IW 600s can you lock for each of your characters. And so I'm actually going through and evaluating every IW 600. I'm not perfect. I am crowdsourcing this. Would love your opinions as well on which ones are really good and which ones are really bad. But we've already seen in the meta that the IW 600s have moved a lot of heroes to the forefront here, basically. And I really trust in the Mythic Heroes game design. They seem like really good at what they're doing, but certain heroes have very low costs compared to others, and so sometimes you'll have a very strong sweet spot for heroes such as like Western Queen, for example. But even like heroes like Morgan and Freya and Isunshin, they have very low Infinity Soul costs, but then very high usage rates. And so these are heroes that are almost like S plus mandatory use here. So that's something I'm working on. The rating and the tier list, and then the final tier list I'm working on, and it'll be done soon. But I'm going through them part by part, kind of. And it also looks like the heroes that I used were cut off here. So yeah, the top players that I used were cut off. I'm gonna be stunning their lineups. But then also today I wanna focus on the heroes that weren't used at all. And so these are the heroes here, and we're just gonna start from highest to lowest here. And so we'll start with an easy one first. So basically, the point of this video is to look at the heroes that weren't used at all. There's only 10 of them, and then kind of see if they have more potential than what's been given. And I'm actually going to be rating them by tier first. So the first one is really easy, Cleopatra. So her cost is incredibly expensive. 82 is actually close to a UR cost. In fact, that almost seems like it's a mistake here. I need to double check that. Again, shout out to Ark for making the list. I guess I could see it. I guess the fact that her stats are imbalanced towards HP and attack and accuracy, that's what makes it so that later on she requires way more ISSs. By the way, one thing I want to quickly point out is when you group them by role, right? Because these IW materials, they're split into 4 colors based on the role, not the color or anything like that, the rarity, but on whether it's a fighter, mage, support, or tank. But if we make like the cutoff, for example, everything that was used in 3 out of the 11 teams, then we have a count of 9 fighters, but only 6 mages. We have 11 support, and then only 6 tanks as well. So basically what that means is fighters and support are kind of overrepresented, and mages and tanks are underrepresented. So anytime a hero who's kind of borderline, like a Persephone Nephthys, like they're super high tier, because once you use all your mage resources on like a Gabriel or Amaterasu, like they need to go somewhere else, right? So you almost need to like force your next mage hero, which means that mages are underrepresented and better for the purpose of this tier list. So anyways, continuing onward here, so we'll keep going through this here. So yeah, Cleopatra is just really bad. So her most IW 600s, the good ones, are changing the kit completely. But basically, her IW, it's only changing this stacking Toxic Beauty from 10 to 15. So this is actually one of the worst IW 600 effects that I've seen. It's only increasing like 50% effectiveness to this weak. I mean, the skill's not really weak, but it's like a really underwhelming ability for how many resources it costs. So Cleopatra, basically, I would almost say the worst character in the game. Next, we have G and M. So, and just a quick overview of their kits as well. So Cleopatra is just really bad all around. She just does like direct damage through poisons. GW is also a pretty bad kit. All they do kind of is just run around slashing and then just kind of doing AoE damage. They don't really have like any utility. It's just basically AoE damage. Having said that, their IW600 is really good. Basically, every 3 auto attacks, they'll do like a AoE stun for 0.5 seconds and hit everyone for like a decent chunk of damage, which is actually like really good, I would say. It's like a really good ability. 5 close enemy units, stunning them for half a second. So this character is not as bad as Cleopatra, and I would say the ability is good, but here I'm not really sure. I think it's still too expensive to invest in. So I would, I guess, give them like one tier higher. And then let's go to Gaia next, right? So Gaia is a character that I've studied for the purposes of this video. A lot of these heroes I haven't been paying attention to at all. But Gaia, so her cost is 50, which is medium, which is like smack dab, I would say, in the so if I go through this list of heroes, Gaia is like 32 out of 55. So she's kind of like upper middle. So 50 still represents like upper middle. So it's like a sizable investment of soul seals. But Gaia is a hero that, I called a lot of things in the meta correctly. Like I thought Oda would be really good. I thought Typhon after the rework, after the IW, would be really good. And we're like, when I thought Typhon would be good, he had like 0% meta share. So I called that. So I'm gonna cross source this with my guildmates in RCL. I'm happy to take feedback from you guys as well and discuss. But I'm pretty confident that Gaia is a very strong hero once she's fully built. And so the reason for that is, okay, so her IW600 adds extra damage to her ult. And so I kind of ran the numbers on this as well. But basically, if you factor in it, and honestly, I don't know exactly how all of the like defense calculations and stuff work, but normally, you'll have like a hero who's has like 18 million health, and then you might be able to get Gaia's defense to like 800,000, right? Which is basically like 4% or 5% of the health total. But her ability hits 4 times, and the reason that I think she's really good, so first of all, her kit's actually like not really that bad. I mean, her ult is kind of pathetic because it only does like 10% of her max health and damage, but it does like slow everybody's attack speed on the other side, and then it does 10% damage, right? Well, the IW600 effect is gonna add like around double the damage, but it could be even more. I haven't like done the full calculations because I haven't built her, but there's a lot of heroes in the game who give her a defense boost, right? Like there's even IW effects that give like defense boost to the flanks. So like YSS is an example, but then also even the IW CO colors, plus the like you can build her antiques up, so you can just fully invest in her and just try and build her defense up as much as possible and her health. So she has like this stun charge, like knock up stun charge, group AoE slow, stone shield increases her defense, she keeps healing. So she's just basically like this obnoxious tank, right? Who keeps like stunning people, slowing them down, and then her AoE is doing a lot of damage, right? Because it keeps scaling up as she gains her health, but then it also scales with her defense, and there's so many multipliers for her defense. So I'm pretty sure like you can get her defense up to like, you know, easily over like a million, you know, like 1.2 million, and then you're doing like 150% of that 4 times. It looks like, so you know you're doing like, I don't know, like 6 million, 8 million, and all, slowing everyone down too. So I'm pretty sure within like 2 alts, she's gonna clear the whole team out. Now it's up to you guys if you want to build a Gaia or not, but I'm pretty sure she's like a very good hero once fully invested in. If you follow my advice and build the Gaia and she's bad, I'll buy you a popsicle. How's that? Alright, next is Hades. And these heroes are all similar, so they all cost 48 to 50. Gaia has a really strong ability, so let's see what Hades' ability is. So again, this is quite a strong ability here. So I think the Hades IW 500 is pretty strong as well. So he might be worth investing in. So the IW 600 is the Hellhound's first attack will cost literally 50% of the target's health. So let's quickly. So Shadow Shield is on a formational line, so you could, I guess, start him in the back line or you start him in the front, but you kind of want to triple line him up to get max value. And so yeah, so he gives the shield to everyone. I'm pretty sure this is really good, like pretty strong, because it's absorbing damage, it's dealing damage to nearby, and then it's giving the shield to the Hellhound too. So based off this ability, it's giving all 3 and then 4 heroes the shield too. I've actually never used Hades, so I don't know exactly how good the ability is in practice, but like, you know, using it, I mean, putting it on all 4, like 3 frontliners plus the Hound, I mean, that's got to be pretty damn good, I would say. The Hound is he casts it up right upon starting here, and then makes him like much tankier. And I'm not sure exactly how long it takes to attack. It doesn't look like it's tied to ability, but I'm pretty sure it'll attack like quite quick. And then it's doing but it only works once, but it feels like it's really strong to just completely kill something, because you'll do like 50% to it, and then I guess you'll pile onto it. So I think between the combination of these two, Hades seems like he would be a pretty good hero there. But again, the cost is medium expensive, right? So but it is a tank as well. So you know, like when we're dealing with, you know, costs in the 50 range for tanks, I mean, we're talking about like, you know, you're comparing him against heroes that, you know, like Poseidon is very good. You know, I mean, Odin's Odin, Hercules, YSS, and these are all like, you know, you're kind of doubling, not doubling, but yeah, you kind of are doubling the cost of Hades. And then you have to compare him like directly to, you know, Leonidas, for example, who has like an incredible niche, right? Like if we were going to compare them side by side here, Leonidas is very strong because he has the passive where he takes very little damage, although Hades is you know, seems quite strong as well because he absorbs so much damage. But then Leonidas is you know, recovering his team's health, max health, by 5% each time he's calling a soldier, right? And he calls soldiers like all the time. So Leonidas' ability, for example, seems better than Hades, comparing side by side. So I think like one of the differences here, like why I would consider investing in a hero like Gaia, is because she would be like a complete build around, right? Which means like if you dump all your resources into her, then she could just smash the entire team. Like I'm pretty sure she could hard carry a fight by herself, whereas Hades is not that, and he seems like he's directly outclassed by Leo, so it's kind of hard to recommend him, even though he does seem actually like quite good. Like he seems omega tanky once you bring in all the other stuff. Okay, next up is Izanami. So again, she's gonna cost 48 here as well. So let's take a look at Izanami. So Izanami's kit in general, she's just dealing AoE damage basically. She has no utility really. She's just dealing AoE damage, but then she keeps healing, so she's kind of obnoxious. So she's like one of those heroes that if she was like way stronger, and you see this right, because she's one of the best early game heroes. If she was like way stronger than her opponents, then she's like a bully. But when she's like equal level, she's kind of weak. And she's also a hero that just wasn't used in Champions Arena at all prior to any of this stuff. So a lot of these heroes is my first time looking at their kit. So Breath of the Dead here, the IW 500. Most of the IW 500s are pretty bad. It's very rare that they get like a complete rework or more utility. They're usually, I've noticed, they usually just affect like one of these things. So in this case, it's just scaling a little bit. So this is just trash. You can just kind of ignore it. And then let's look at this one. So when Breath of the Dead is completed, an additional 50% of the skill's damage is then dealt to each enemy unit. Okay, so Breath of the Dead is her alt. The ghosts release, so she has like, she can do 10 ghosts, and then I mean, to be honest, I don't really know how well she works. I don't know how much damage her ult does. I don't think anyone really wants to test it. Her ability is just adding straight up damage. I'm pretty sure her ult doesn't even come close to killing the entire team or anything like that. So if it's doing damage equal to 70% of attack times ghost release times 5% of her attack per second, and then once it's done, so I didn't even use Izanami building her up. So it looks like the ult lasts for 10 seconds as well, and then it does damage, and then she gets some of her health back. So it's just basically adding another like 50% of the skill's damage, and then I don't know if it's added to her healing as well. I'm gonna mark this as bad for now. It looks like she's just doing pure damage. Now I could be convinced otherwise. I could be convinced otherwise if, like, I don't know, someone actually built her and put all the antiques and everything super strong into her, and then her ult was just one-shotting people. But I think that's kind of hard to tell. Let's move on to Zeus. Alright, so big boy Zeus, this is the hero that we all pretty much start with. So Zeus is also very one-dimensional. A lot of these weaker heroes are very one-dimensional, so they get outclassed. But he's basically known for just doing AoE damage, just popping off, exploding. But the AoE damage is not really strong enough to kill everyone. I believe he also stuns, so he has a little more utility, right? He shields. I believe he has like a stun, right? I thought his lightning stuns people. I guess not. So he's doing like true damage here. Oh, he should really have a stun somewhere. Okay. So the IW has the stun here, right? So IW 500 after using lightning chain. So there's a 33% chance. This is just RNG. I mean, it just adds a little more extra damage, but I guess it reduces skill cooldown. Not that great of an ability. Okay, so the IW 600 marks a random hero in the enemy's front line. So a lot of times people are frontlining just 2, and then when he deals damage with lightning chain or wrath of God, the marked hero takes extra lightning damage. So lightning chain and wrath of God. Yeah, I think this is pretty bad. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give this hero an F for now as well. And I haven't finalized the tiers, but F is basically just gonna mean do not invest in any circumstances. Flora is a hero that used to be very popular that kind of fell out of the meta. So she has like a stun AoE hit, and it used to deal like a lot of damage. I think it probably still does damage, does a lot of damage. She also increases the damage that they take, but again, she's just doing like straight up direct damage. And her niche too was like she was kind of doing true damage basically. So she's just again like a very one-dimensional damage dealer with like no real utility. So IW 500 is just increasing the scale, which does that a lot. Alright, so her IW 600, if an enemy is hit by flowery implosion, the damage will not be reduced when the target. So this one again, it's not like it's not changing anything. It's just like, changing the damage reduction. So this is also bad, and this is also an F. In general, like especially for these underperforming heroes, they need something like really big that changes to their kit to make things different. And I know like I guess at this point you might be wondering like, oh well, why does Gaia seem like so strong theorycraft wise? But I think it makes sense, right? Like Gaia, her kit was pretty good overall. It's just that her alt was just like pathetic damage. It only deals like 10% of her damage because it hits 4 times, so like 9.6%, 10% of her health. So it was only doing, it wasn't doing like nearly enough. But then when you add the scaling and investing in her and everything, and then building the defense up, maybe I'm pretty sure she can just outlast and crush people. Whereas like people like Flora and Zeus and Izanami, their damage was already kind of gimped to begin with. So just slightly raising their multipliers or whatever, it's not really going to change the game. I feel like, at least. Next up is Thor. So the cost is starting to get a little lower here, and Thor is going to cost 32 here. And so Thor has also just always been trash, just never used in Champions Arena. And so if you look at his IWs, so Divine Descent, so again IW 500 is just scale from 60% to 90%, so it's bad. He needed way more help than that. And then here the Divine Descent is his alt, I believe, and so it's basically like a steroid. It increases his stuff. All it does is all it does is increase the duration by 50%. So basically, defense health go up 50%, but those are like tanking abilities. The attack only goes up to 20%, and then he does end up hitting everything. So this isn't like that great of a steroid, and this is why he's been so bad overall, because like it doesn't really do enough. I mean, it makes him tankier, but it doesn't really do anything on top of that. Nordic Squall. Another thing I noticed, because I actually tried to build this guy when leveling, is when he spins and no one's nearby, he doesn't hit anyone, which is like super stupid. I think his IW 600 should have been like this Nordic Squall spinny thing. Even if no one's nearby, he just does like gangster AoE damage, gangster like lightning bolts that just hit everyone across the screen. But basically, this weapon is just saying so his alt is extended by 5 seconds, but it doesn't do that much damage. And then the Nordic Squall is affected too, but that doesn't stop him from just standing around stupidly and spinning. This seems like a garbage ability. 150% damage reducing. Yeah, this seems like trash. I also don't think Thor has a way of making people attack him. So yeah, he's kind of like a hero that just stands there and like jerks off by himself. And yeah, okay. So Lubu I'm kind of familiar with. So actually no, we'll just go in order. Okay, so Lubu I feel like it is very interesting here. So Lubu is very interesting. So at this point we're getting a very low cost here. So Lubu costs 20 Infinity Soul Seal, so much lower than everyone else that's been discussed so far. And Lubu has interesting kit. So he's basically pure damage, but he's like a one-on-oneer, 1v1er. You know all those League of Legends players who tell you to like let's 1v1 or whatever. He's like a 1v1er. So he does like a knock-up, which kind of kicks them out of battle, and then he's kind of immune to control when he does this. And then he basically just like kind of steroids himself, has a lot of lifesteal, can incapacitate through his ult, right? But then when you start going into his IW, he starts adding a little utility, so he just keeps getting stronger. But the Half Moon Slash adds damage to what the enemies are taking. He gets immune to control. IW 500. Let's take a look. Okay, so Force of Tiger is the Force of Tiger, and then the Fearless Strike becomes stronger. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this Fearless Strike is quite strong. It does like quite a bit of damage, and then the important one too is so basically his IW 600 is he gets a 80% damage buff across the board. Now maybe I'm a little biased because I only encountered this fucker in story mode where his level is really high. But my understanding is like when he focuses something, it dies like pretty quick. So like Lubu is someone, and then he has a ton of lifesteal, and then he's kind of immune to like control too. My take honestly is based off his cost and everything. Like I would really love if someone would just build Lubu and go gangster with him. So I really feel like he might be worth investing in, because I'm pretty sure he's just gonna do a shitload of damage with his ability. At the end of this video, I'm gonna go through the Champions Arena and I'm gonna see if anyone tried to use Gaia or Lubu actually. But let's close the video with another super trash hero. So Tomomo, she costs 16, so very low cost. People love to simp for Tomomo and defend her for some reason, even though she's like complete garbage. So basically she summons foxes which like to like jerk off. I don't know exactly what they do. She just kind of does damage and like runs around. I guess she's like okay against melee heroes. Yeah, and then the IW 500 is kind of trash, and then the magical cleave by 30%. So yeah, I mean this is just a terrible ability, I would say. The cost is really low, but magical cleave by 30%, that's not really what's going on here. So now I'm going to take a quick pause on this video and look through for Gaia and Lubu. Alright, and I'm back, and I just want to wrap this video and close by saying I did look for Gaia and Lubu, and nobody has built either of them. I'm very curious to see if they're any good at all, especially Gaia, because Lubu is just really cheap. So yeah, I mean, if anyone ever sees them being used, please let me know. But otherwise, just gonna wrap it for this one. This actually got quite long, but we actually ended up categorizing and tiering 10 of the unused heroes in this version of the list, and I feel like I'm pretty happy with the assessments. And 10 out of there's only like 50 heroes in the entire game, so we just got through like 20% of the entire game and decided if these are worth building or not. So I'm kind of curious here. So yeah, this video got like way longer than I wanted it to, but hopefully you enjoyed it a bit. Thanks for watching.